Greetings from Tokyo. This is Daisuke Beppu, and I hope all of you are having a really nice day today. I want to take this opportunity to respond to another question that I received. This time, it's from someone named Sean Gallagher. Sean Gallagher. So hello, Sean. How are you? I hope you are doing very well, and thank you very much, Sean, for your very nice conversation over YouTube. You asked the following question, so here it is. I was wondering, just to back up, Sean and I were talking about the Olympics box set, and he had brought up the very good point that the Olympics box sets, the films themselves, are incredibly inspiring as human stories and stories of triumph and success. And I was really taken by this, and I told him that. And he came back to me very kindly with a follow-up question. And the question is, so you say, I do believe in the power of cinema to affect one's mood and mentality at times. I was wondering if you would be so inclined to show and speak of some positive, uplifting, feel-good films in the Criterion collection. I think this can be beneficial, especially around the time of the Barnes & Noble sale, for those who suffer from seasonal holidays blues. Also, what are some recommended comedy films on Criterion? Perhaps that can be showcased as well. Humor is a powerful emotion. Okay, so I think this is a very interesting question. For the most part, the Criterion collection has some pretty heavy films, films that deal with dark themes or pretty intense themes. So sometimes a positive film or feel-good film, an uplifting film, while they're there, they might be maybe not as common, so to speak, but they are there. So let me talk then today about positive and feel-good films. Now, they're not necessarily straight comedies. Maybe I'll address those in a separate video if you don't mind. But for now, let me talk about, from my point of view, the feel-good films, positive films, feel-good films. And when I say positive or feel-good films, I'm usually talking about something that has some kind of palpable expression of joy, of positivity. So that's what I'm talking about, or that's my understanding of the meaning of uplifting or feel good. So with that rubric, or with that criterion, so to speak, let me show you some of the films that I think are positive or uplifting. Again, these are just my suggested ideas, and this is not at all a definitive list. So if you feel like I have not mentioned something that you think should have been mentioned, please, as always, please let me know in the comments below, and I'd be very happy to continue the discussion. But again, this is just a small sampling of the films in the Criterion collection that I think are positive or uplifting. So the first one is a DVD, and this is called The Lady Eve. Now, The Lady Eve, I think, is a very positive, uplifting film because of its subject matter and its storyline, and also its vibrant liveliness. There are some great comedic moments as well that really touch up the whole affair in a way that is quite life affirming in some ways. And the scene involving the horse is one of the funniest things you'll ever see. So The Lady Eve on DVD, but if you don't mind DVD, please, for your consideration, is this film, I Know Where I'm Going. This is a Powell and Pressburger film. Again, this is also a DVD, but really worth it. Powell and Pressburger are a dynamite combination, and this has just a charming, sweet tale involving a really wonderful set of characters. Wendy Hiller is amazing in this, and it just makes you feel good. It has a really nice, a little bit of a twisty kind of narrative, which is a very good thing, but it leads to a place that I think is so heartwarming and so genuinely happy that I think this can be called very safely a positive or uplifting film. For your consideration, I Know Where I'm Going. Good morning. This is a joyous film. It is a film that is filled with the peculiarities and intricacies of human life, of daily living, of family life, of family living, and in a way that is so charming and very relatable and thus quite, I think, joyous. There is something very pure about this film in its sort of very straightforward approach, I would say, which I think is wholeheartedly a positive thing. Good morning, Yasujiro Ozu. Just a truly remarkable work. It always makes me very happy when I see this film. I laugh and I smile and I laugh and I smile again. Good morning. Next one. This is a Blu-ray. So this is Wings of Desire. So this is Wim Wenders. This is one of those magical films that has it seems like a complicated tale, but if you distill it to its essence, it's really a purely simple and such an endearing, sweet tale of someone who is trying to find love. So you can't get any more uplifting than that, I think. And you've got wonderful sort of supporting characters, and you've got this really magical tale and a really genius conceit. So you've combined that in a way that is, in the film, that is so pure and so earnest and so filled with goodwill. You can just feel it coming out of the screen almost as it's almost like Peter Falk is extending his hand not towards the characters but towards us. He's reaching his hand out from the screen and he's telling us, I'm your friend, compañero. Wings of Desire. Beautiful, beautiful film. So joyous, so uplifting for your consideration. I've mentioned this before, but I think it's so grand and joyous, it's worth mentioning again. So, For All Mankind. This is something that I think I said is a film that reaffirms my faith in humanity, and in particular, my faith in the potential of humanity, in what human beings can accomplish. It is truly a remarkable thing to watch this depiction of the achievement of human endeavor in a way that is so beautiful and so poetic. That's right. I think it's quite a poetic film. Yes, I've never thought of it that way before, but yes, it is truly a remarkable film in that way, and it is uplifting and it is powerful and it will make you proud and happy for all mankind. Next one. This is a Blu-ray. This is Tootsie. Now, Tootsie, I think, could also go into the comedy category, and I think for good reason, because it is quite a charming and funny film, a really funny film. But I think for me, it is so effective as a not necessarily a romance film, but it's a film about acceptance, and it's a film about finding friends. And I think on that basis, it's a film that is trying to depict a story about someone who's trying to make a human connection with another human being in a way that he feels is the only way he can do so, is essentially to be or portray himself as a woman. And I think on that basis, I think looking at it as a film about a man trying to establish human connections I think it's quite an endearing tale, and it never fails to, what's the phrase, tug at the heartstrings? Or maybe another way to put it is, it never fails to move me with its conclusion and the way it leads to its conclusion. It really is a remarkably emotionally effective film, and emotionally effective in a way that it's positive and quite heartwarming, and thus a really wonderful feel-good film. I think it's quite a grand comedy, but I think even more so it is a really nice feel-good film. Tootsie, for your consideration. Next, I'm going to cheat a little bit, but hopefully you'll understand when you see The Complete Jacques Tati. So Jacques Tati is a really interesting figure in cinema, because the films of Jacques Tati they make me feel so lucky to be engaged in this hobby of watching films, because they are so just witty and clever, and they are playing with the medium of film in a way that is so genuinely joyous. And therefore, I am very happy to show this as part of this video. Now, one of these days I will have to go through each film individually, but for now, let me just present this in the box itself. So, The Complete Jacques Tati, a really wonderful box set release from the Criterion collection. Next, in terms of music, there's something very powerful about the live performance film, especially if the music is just electrifying. So the complete Monterey Pop Festival set, or Monterey Pop, which is the single individual release. This is dynamite, absolutely dynamite, and you're just watching these performances of these wonderful songs, and you're seeing them performed by the performers, and you realize, again, just how wonderful it is to be alive and to be able to experience these performances. For me, perhaps the most joyous part is watching Otis Redding. Just that moment when he's on stage, I'm filled to the nth degree with utter happiness. So anyway, the complete Monterey Pop Festival, or for those of you who are interested in the individual release, here is Monterey Pop. Next, speaking of music, let me put this one out here. This is A Hard Day's Night, the Beatles. And you are watching a film that is so inventive and charming and clever, and it is about a band that is here in the sort of the joyous throes of Beatlemania. So you're catching the group at a point when they are still very just so happy, and you can tell that everyone is happy and they're having a good time, and there's a nice story or some stories there, and of course you've got the wonderful Beatles music, and it's the A Hard Day's Night era or period of their music. So you've got songs like Can't Buy Me Love, or If I Fell, or I Should Have Known Better, and oh yeah, so many others. And I Love Her, yes. Oh gosh, the Beatles. I suppose you get extra out of this if you're a Beatles fan like I am. I love the Beatles, so that's probably the reason why I'm so happy whenever I see this. So A Hard Day's Night. Oh, and for those of you who know the film, special bonus points in terms of happiness with respect to that sweater, that wonderful sweater of Victor Spinetti. What a wonderful sweater that is. Anyway, A Hard Day's Night. next one is, well, let me just put it like this. Well, let me show it to you first. It's this one. Charlie Chaplin, City Lights. How do I describe this this film, or in the context of this idea of uplifting or joyous films or feel-good films? I suppose one way to describe it would be, well, okay, so there's Beethoven, right? Beethoven and Ode to Joy. So you have this really wonderful, remarkable musical work that seems to be so joyous and just inspires a truly heightened level of happiness and just positive energy. Right? So Beethoven and Ode to Joy, in terms of a musical work. Well, I think that the film City Lights, and in particular a particular moment of City Lights, and I'm talking about the ending of City Lights, I think that this is the cinematic equivalent to Ode to Joy, because it is the perfect distillation in cinematic terms, in visual terms, of the power of cinema to depict happiness. I don't know how else to describe it, but when you're watching this film, and in particular the ending, you are watching happiness distilled in a moment of time. And that is a truly magical thing. And it's moving, and there's sort of a music, but there's a certain acting that's taking place. And all these elements combine to form happiness. It's almost like City Lights equals happiness and joyousness and joy. So City Lights, I think, is, to me, the epitome of happy films, of positive films, of uplifting films. I don't think we can get a film that's more uplifting than City Lights. I think it's truly one of, if not the most uplifting film in the Criterion Collection. If you haven't seen it, you should just stop what you're doing right now and find it and watch it. It's only 86 minutes, so it's a silent film, but it goes by so quickly. And believe me, if you haven't seen it, just stop what you're doing and just try to find it, and maybe watch it this weekend, maybe get some friends together, watch, but just stop what you're doing and watch it. Trust me, your life will change for the better, because this film is, I think, in many ways, the cinematic embodiment of happiness. City Lights. I would have ended with City Lights, but I think I want to end with this, which is my own personal, how should I put it, favorite uplifting film or comedy film or film that really makes me so happy. Now, I mentioned City Lights, and I think that is, for many people, the pinnacle or the peak. But when I'm talking about my own quirky personality and my own personal tastes, I love City Lights so much, but I just wanted to end with this film, or this series, which is Fishing with John. This is a DVD, and it's a very old one, so maybe you're not so inclined to get it because it is a DVD. But this series is one that every time I put it on, I laugh, and I laugh so hard, I just can't stop laughing. The jokes are just amazing, and John Lurie is just so in control, and there is a wonderful, quirky story, and I think at the end of it, it works as a comedy, but I think more so, it makes me feel so happy. It makes me feel so happy, and it makes me feel so lucky and so honored and privileged to say that I am a fan of the Criterion Collection. I think if the Criterion Collection is so bold and so and so, how should I put it, and so interesting with its choices, that it would choose to release Fishing with John, even at the early stages of this DVD. This is spine number 42, so it's still very early in the DVD days of the Criterion Collection. But still, at that stage, if Criterion was so bold to choose to release this, then my goodness, that is enough reason for me to love the Criterion Collection, because this work, Fishing with John, makes me so happy. It makes me so happy every time I watch it. And so I just wanted to end with this, my own personal favorite, if you will, Fishing with John. It is a bit offbeat in some ways in terms of its humor, so maybe it's not for everyone. I appreciate that. But again, just my own take, so take it or leave it. And hopefully, if you haven't seen it, you might be so interested in watching it, and perhaps you might get something out of it, some enjoyment out of it. I certainly do. Every time I watch it, I just love it. I absolutely love it. And it makes me so happy to, and so proud to say that I am a film lover and a Criterion Collection lover, because this is part of the Criterion Collection, and thank goodness for that. Fishing with John. Okay, my friends, so let me end it there. And again, I apologize if I haven't mentioned any uplifting or positive film that you think I should be mentioning. I will try to get around to the comedy films of the Criterion Collection, maybe at a later date. So if you don't mind, just give me some time with that. I apologize, I don't work faster, but it's just, there are only so many hours in the day. I wish there were more, but what can you do? Anyway, my friends, I hope you are well, and please let me know if you watch any great films. If you have any great recommendations, please. I'm always open to hearing your wonderful recommendations and suggestions. Until we meet again, my friends, please take care. Cheers.